Black Oni. What is up, tubes? It's your boy Will, Black Oni Wiggins, and I'm here to discuss the viability of using a fight stick over a traditional controller. With Street Fighter V now launched, you may be asking yourself, do I need a fight stick? Will it make me a better player? Are there any actual pros or cons of using a fight stick over a controller? I'm here to help you answer those questions, especially if you've been using a controller or a fight pad all this time. I'll first address one of the biggest obstacles when considering purchasing a fight stick: the price. My god, can these things get expensive? You can find some fight sticks, Hori Mini, for as little as $40, or something more in line of what you'll typically see from a Mad Catz Tournament Edition, which is around $230. Don't get me wrong, there are other fight sticks within the $100 or $150 price range, but then, still, fight sticks are much more expensive than typical controllers. Gamers on a budget will not have a good time entering into the fight stick arena, especially considering most of the recommended full-size sticks are about $150 or more. If you intend to get into using a fight stick for gaming, specifically fighting games, you may want to skip getting an entry-level stick like the previously mentioned Hori Mini, and just get one mid-tier one and stick with that, especially considering you can swap out individual parts like the gate restrictors, buttons, or the actual stick shape. As to the question of whether a fight stick will make you a better fighting game player or not depends on a few factors. Let's get this out the way. On its own, the fight stick itself will not make you a better player. However, if you grew up in the arcades and have a solid feel for performing moves with a fight stick, adjusting won't be as much of an issue. Obviously, if you're more comfortable using a fight stick versus a pad or controller, you will perform better. Nostalgia aside, there are some real-world differences when it comes to using a fight stick versus using a pad or controller, and transitioning to an arcade stick for someone who isn't comfortable using them is difficult. It will take a lot of practice and determination to become fluent in fight stick. For starters, getting your fingers used to pressing the buttons differently will be a little tricky, but the button layout is an arcade stick's greatest strength. Having access to 6 to 8 buttons on one hand across one plane is invaluable for linking together combos that utilize various buttons that would otherwise be attributed to several planes on a controller, from the top left, or the top right, or the face buttons, or the L3, R3 buttons. It's a lot different. It's not like using a controller is inherently difficult in that regard, but the fight stick makes pressing buttons much more convenient. Once you get used to the placement, it makes sense, similar to using a keyboard for typing. The area that I still struggle with in regards to transitioning from pad to fight stick, and arguably the fight stick's greatest weakness, is movement. I use the word weakness because for certain motions it's easier because you have a more defined movements due to the increased range in motion. So for example, quarter circle forward. However, too often do I find myself accidentally inputting something or not actually doing a dash when I'm trying to input the forward or back motion for dashing. And sometimes half circle commands can cause you to jump a little bit. So this is where using only one thumb with more limited range can actually be an advantage versus using a much wider range of motion for movement. Just by matter of physics, if your thumb only needs to move a total of 1 inch from the left of the D-pad to the right, you naturally only have to be concerned with moving that one thumb a certain distance. Whereas on a fight stick, you're likely either using your entire forearm or wrist to do those same motions, on a form factor that's already at least 1 inch. Wider range of motion, but more potential room for error since it's fairly free-form motion and not attributed to a digital button but rather an analog position. Overall, I'll say this. If you want to feel like you're at an arcade when you play fighting games, or you like the idea of being able to access all of your buttons on one even plane, then consider a fight stick and be ready to overcome quite a few hurdles as you attempt to become proficient with it. If you love the idea of having that nostalgic feel, and love the sounds the buttons make when you press them and the ever so satisfying click you hear when you shift the stick around, then get yourself a fight stick. If you have the extra money and are curious as to why so many pros use the fight stick, spoiler alert, they just like it, pony up and put some money down on one and experience it for yourself. If you're just looking for a quick way to get better at the game, you're not going to find that with a fight stick. If you're anyone else, consider sticking with a controller. And to anyone saying there's no difference, just a matter of preference between a fight stick and a controller or fight pad, you may be amongst those who have been using a fight stick for a very long time, and you don't really actually see that much of a difference in how you play on one control method versus another. But I can assure any newcomers there is a difference, and there are strengths and weaknesses with both. So, what do you guys think? Leave your comments in the section down below, and let's discuss this. Let's talk about the pros and cons of using fight sticks versus using controllers. Both of them have their own strengths and weaknesses, and I would love to hear you guys' thoughts regarding that. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm so hyped for Street Fighter V. If you guys want to see content right as it's made available on the internet, as soon as I'm playing it, go over to twitch.tv/blackoni, where you can see my live gameplay as I'm playing it, as I'm recording it. Or you could just keep it locked here on YouTube, where that stuff gets uploaded a little bit later. I gotta go down and edit everything. And as always, I'll catch you on the next video. Game on, and Black Oni out. I still fucked it up though. I wasn't hearing good things about Tekken, bro. Sorry to say. I was trying to do my super move and it didn't work. Dude, Nakali has a lot of defense. Holy shit. You lose. Look at his face. Oh. But yeah, man, I haven't been feeling Tekken in a long time. Honestly, it was not. I used to really like Tekken back in the day, but I don't like it as much these days. It's not as fun. I feel like the gameplay is much more centered on juggle mechanics than it is on the ground game, and that kind of bothers me a little bit.
Round one. Fight.
Ooh, a little bit of lag. Ah! Okay.
Okay. Round two. Fight.
That was so sick. That was so sick. I can see myself getting good with this character, because that was beautiful. That was so beautiful. Combos and like
Round one.
calling people out.
Fight.
I really like the one-on-one. Oh, that's bull.
Almost had me worried there. Round two. Fight.
I thought it was him for a second. Oh, that's what you can do after that. Okay. Learning stuff from a better Rashid player.
You lose.
I thought it was him for a little while at some point, but I prefer one-on-one Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was fun. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree.